Hello, this is Garrett Eckert with Simple Ministries. Please visit the website at simpleministries.org. And today we're going to be reviewing a video by Bill Nye asking the question, can we stop telling women what to do with their bodies? And he's going to advise pro-life people that we need to adopt the pro-life stance and just let women do as they want to with their bodies, which actually we don't actually have a problem them doing with their bodies what they want for most part. I mean, actually in society we don't let women do whatever they want with their bodies. If they want to prostitute their bodies, we don't allow that. If they want to commit suicide, we try to stop that, unless in certain cases in Oregon maybe. But the real problem here is that what these women are choosing to do is affecting someone else's body, the unborn. When women want to go in for liposuction, no pro-life person has an issue because it's not affecting someone else's life. They want to go in to have a boil lanced, no pro-lifer has a problem because it's not affecting a life, an individual life separate from her. So the wrong question is being asked and addressed, and so therefore that is going to really project the wrong direction for the whole video. But let's get rolling.
Many more hundreds of eggs are fertilized than become humans. Eggs get fertilized, and by that I mean sperm get accepted by ova a lot. But that's not all you need. You have to attach to the uterine wall, the inside of a womb, a woman's womb. But if you're going to hold that as a standard, that is to say, if you're going to say when an egg is fertilized, it's therefore has the same rights as an individual, then whom are you going to sue? Whom are you going to imprison? Every woman who's had a fertilized egg pass through her? Every guy whose sperm has fertilized an egg and then it didn't become a human? Have all these people failed you? It's just a reflection of a deep scientific lack of understanding.
I would agree. I see a number of deep lack of scientific understanding and moral understanding as well. That's addressed the first one, where he says hundreds and hundreds more eggs are fertilized than actually, become pregnancies and births. Well, if a woman on average, I mean, typically a woman ovulates once a month, one egg is dropped from the fallopian tube or into the fallopian tube. And so that would only be 12 a year. So some women more. So let's just bump it up for his numbers. Let's say 24 a year are being dropped. They're not all being fertilized because most women would use contraception to prevent fertilization. So, but even if they weren't, that would only, I mean, it would, to just get it up to 100, 24 a year, which would be higher than most women, but it would take 5 years to get up even above 100. So I think he's scientifically wrong to say that hundreds and hundreds are being fertilized and yet passing on through with it without being implanted. Then he goes on to this thing about, well, if they do pass on through, who's going to be morally accountable? Well, Bill, when things naturally occur like this, no one is morally accountable. When a baby is safely placed in their crib and they die of SIDS, they die in their sleep, we don't imprison the parents because they're not morally accountable. It was just a natural act that the baby died in its sleep. But now if the parents were to go in and put a pillow over the baby's head and suffocate them, well, now we would have something to morally hold them accountable to.
And you literally, or you apparently literally don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, I just addressed on 2 counts. You don't know what you're talking about.
And so
so we have 3 points so far. The premise of the video and his first 2 points incorrect.
When it comes to women's rights with respect to their reproduction, I think you should leave it to women. It's really
wrong again, because even most people on your side of the issue say, okay, once you get to viability, it is no longer her choice to say, well, just abort it. Either at that point, people are going to say, well, you've had 6 months, 5 or 6 months to make this decision. If you didn't make it by now, you're going to have to live with it. Or in extreme, and these people have extreme views, they will say, all right, well, just induce labor or have a C-section. But even people on his side of this issue don't believe that women have the right to do whatever they want with their bodies and make these choices. So he's made 4 points. That's the premise of the video, and 3 all incorrect so far.
You cannot help but notice. I mean, I'm not the first guy to observe this. You have a lot of men of European descent passing these extraordinary laws based on ignorance. Sorry, you guys. I know it was written, or your interpretation of a book written 5,000 years ago, 50 centuries ago, makes you think that when a man and a woman have sexual intercourse, they always have a baby. That's wrong. And so to pass laws based on that belief is inconsistent with nature.
All right, so he mentioned there about the European men. This is mostly who it is. So this is a logical fallacy. He's attacking the person instead of the idea, and so that's logically fallacious. Then he's saying, okay, this is a completely religious idea, and it's not. If you listen to pro-lifers, for the most part, they never even mention religion, because the case is so strong. There's no need to. It's actually a universal moral concept that we do not take the lives of innocent people. And that's why you even have secular groups that are pro-life. You can look up, I think it's secularprolife.com or something like that, or Google it. These groups are out there. As well, of course, as many women go into a crisis pregnancy center, and most of the time those are going to be staffed by women. And he also got the dating of the Bible wrong. The oldest the Bible is 3,500 years old, written by Moses. And but more important, he has this idea appears that if it's old, it's mold, and if it's new, it's true. Truth is not based on age. If a truth is proclaimed 3,500 years ago, it's still true today. Much of the philosophy and logic that we use today was written down or thought out back in the time of, say, Plato and Aristotle and Socrates. And because it's true logical thinking, it doesn't change. So another idea that's not quite right.
I mean, it's hard.
So here he's made, what, 6 points, and he hasn't made a right one yet.
Not to get frustrated with this, everybody.
I agree. It is very frustrating. Maybe you should do more research before you make a video like this.
And I know.
Because why am I doing a review of this video? Because I listen to the other side. I don't just listen to my side. I listen to the other to know, hey, am I missing something? Is there some good point that they're making that I need to learn about? Because that's my goal. My goal is to know the truth.
Nobody likes abortion, okay?
And that's another puzzling thing. Why doesn't anybody say no one likes liposuction? Why doesn't anybody like pulling teeth? Because there's no moral issue with it. So why don't people like abortion? I mean, I mean, no one likes medical procedures, sure, but if it has no more moral weight to it than the other things I mentioned, why do people talk like that?
But you can't tell somebody what to do. I mean, she has rights over this, especially if she doesn't like the guy.
All right, so he goes ahead and repeats. I will just count that for one wrong concept, because obviously if he's got it wrong early in the video and he brings up the same concept, he'll keep on being wrong. But like I said, lots of pro-choice people feel like, hey, once the baby's viable, yes, you can tell a woman what to do with her body, that she cannot abort it.
That got her pregnant.
And there's another horrible idea that, you know, if you don't like who got you pregnant, then it's okay to abort the child. Well, that same kind of thinking could be for a child that's viable, or even after it's born. There's plenty of women who have children by men who don't like them, even after they're born. Does that give them justification to end the child's life? Of course not.
Like, she doesn't want anything to do with your genes. Get over it, especially if she were raped and all this.
And rape is a terrible crime. It's a travesty. Even more so when a woman becomes pregnant. And, you know, to have to go through a pregnancy under that condition is a horrible thing. But what about a woman? Let's give this example. She says, okay, I believe that it was the child's fault that this happened, and so therefore I'm going to carry the child to term. And she does so, and she's like, you know, as long as this baby doesn't look like the rapist, then, you know, I can put up with this. But the baby pops out, and it looks just like the rapist. Is she morally justified to then kill the child? No. I mean, all you have to do is say just a little logical example. If it's not okay to kill the child after it's born, then it's not all right to do it before they're born.
So
I don't know. I lost count of how many. Other than he's not made one good point yet, he's somewhere up around 7 or 8 bad points.
It's very frustrating on the outside, on the other side.
I agree. Well, on your side, it's very frustrating.
We have so many more important things to be dealing with. We have so many more problems. To squander resources on this argument based on...
What can be more important than life, Bill Nye? It's the foundation of our existence. It is the most important thing. The worst crime that can possibly be committed against another person is to kill them in an unjustified manner. So no, I would disagree that I don't know what kind of things you could be referring to. I don't know if you're referring to the tax code or immigration or foreign policy or what you think could be more important than that. But you would be wrong.
Bad science on just lack of understanding. It's very frustrating. You wouldn't know how big a human egg was if it weren't for microscopes, if it weren't for scientists, medical researchers looking diligently. You wouldn't know the process. You wouldn't have that shot, the famous shot or shots where the sperm are bumping up against the egg. You wouldn't have that without science. So then to claim that you know the next step when you obviously don't, it's trouble. Okay, let me do that again.
Yes, actually it is, because what science tells us that when the sperm fertilizes the egg, that from that moment forward, all that fertilized egg needs is the same thing that Bill Nye needs and I need and everyone else. We just need the right environment to survive, and we need the right nutrients to survive. And that's exactly all that the fertilized egg needs. And so that's what science tells us. Wrong point again.
Let me just pull back. At some point, we have to respect the facts. Recommending or insisting on abstinence has been completely ineffective.
Actually, abstinence prevents pregnancy 100% of the time. Now, just because some people fail at good advice doesn't mean that's a failure. This would be like saying, well, we advise abstinence also prevents 100% of HIV infections. But just because some people fail at it, to then reason that it's a failure in itself and that we need to promote the very behavior that causes these problems is backward thinking.
It's being objective here. Closing abortion clinics, not giving women access to birth control has not been an effective way to lead to healthier societies.
Well, I don't have a problem with birth control for the most part, unless you're talking about abortion pills. So he's made one good point. All right.
I mean, I think we all know that, and I understand that you have deeply held beliefs, and you want to, and it really is ultimately out of respect for people. In this case, your perception of unborn people. I understand that. But I really encourage you to look at the facts. And I know people are now critical of the expression fact-based. But what's wrong with that? So I just really encourage you to not tell women what to do. And
well, it's interesting. So here on the end, he says, okay, I understand you think it's a human life, and that's where you're coming from. But everything else in the video and the premise of the video about telling women what not to do with their bodies betrays that. I mean, it seems if you really did understand that, every point you made would be different. Every point would be, hey, let me show you why it's not a human life. It's not a human individual. And then, therefore, the people that you're trying to reach here could jump on board with you. Because if it's not a human life, a human individual, then yeah, fine, go ahead and abort them. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is if it is an individual human life. That's the problem. Women don't have the right to terminate individual human lives after they're born, and the pro-life view is that they shouldn't be beforehand either. So that gives you some idea, Bill, as far as why people are pro-life, why this issue is not going to go away, and unless you can show otherwise, why abortions like you're speaking of should stop. Thanks for watching. Be sure to look at the simpleministries.org website for more resources. Take care.